So let's jump in and talk a little bit about toxic parents to start off with. What you're in the mix right now.
Oh.
What do you see?
Well, every parent thinks they got all the answers. I know that. And I've told you as a coach, I tell my parents all the time, talk to me. If you got something, call me, let me know how I can help, things I can do better. Because same thing in this podcast, we don't know everything. We want feedback. We want to hear, maybe we get an idea. They're like, hey, I actually like the way they're thinking about this. But I think the number one thing that bugs me with parents, and I know what yours is, I can go ahead and tell you, is coaching from the sidelines or yelling at your kids.
We'll put that on the shelf.
Anything.
I may pivot a little bit. I may come back.
I think is just the way they yell at officiating, umpires, especially at the youth level, young, like these people are making, $40 an hour, $40 a game. A lot of these, it's not their main job. They're doing it because they enjoy doing it.
At the T-ball level and the coach pitch level, you've got high school kids umping these games.
Absolutely.
I mean, we have some kids from our program that make money umping, at T-ball and in the lower levels, and these parents are screaming at a 16-year-old kid.
Man, that's
the kid has no. He doesn't have a bet on the game. He's just trying to make a couple bucks. He may miss a call. I mean, golly, it's crazy.
And I'm with you. And the whole thing is you. I'm sure you've just gotten out of it with Brady and stuff, but they're having trouble getting umpires.
Oh yeah.
At the officiating. And I know basketball. I've heard from numerous people talk about AAU, how they're scuffling to get people to want to ref because they're just taking abuse.
Well, and they don't feel safe. We were prepping for this show, and we found a survey of a bunch of youth umpires, and 70% of them said they don't feel safe anymore.
They should.
And they should feel that way when you see everything going on right now, and parents are out of control. Now, not all of them, but you only need a few.
Let me tell you, the only time you'll ever see me get on an umpire, and I mean this with all, is if they act like they just don't care and they don't want to be there. Then I'm not going to abuse them, right? But I'm going to be like, hey, be better. Or come on, lock in, let's care.
Yeah.
Not that if you miss a call or if you miss a strike call, like I said, think about it. You watch a Major League Baseball game. The best that do it, they do it full time. They're missing calls all the time. So now you expect a 16-year-old kid, doing a T-ball game?
And unless you think they've got some bias, which I promise you, I would say 99.9% don't have a bias, it's a mistake.
Let me tell you. They want the game to be over as quick as possible. Yeah. They don't get paid by the hour. They get paid by the game.
Yeah.
And they're not going to be great. They're going to miss a lot of stuff. So I know it's easy to sit on the outside and say all this. We've all been in the battles ourselves and been frustrated at times. But come on, folks. I think give it a rest.
Give it a rest. That's one. I think another thing, parents, is when you're watching your kid act out there, start to have an attitude, do this, and you do nothing about it. Like, don't leave it up to the coach to have to do it, because that's a tough situation for a coach, because it's like, man, if I go in on this young girl or boy, like, how do I be perceived? Like, as a parent, take it over from the coach of saying, you're out.
I got this.
Don't worry, coach. I'm doing what so you don't have to.
Yeah. I mean, you have an expectation for your kid and how they carry themselves, regardless of what happens in their environment. They may get a bad call. They may strike out. They may get a foul that may be questionable, or they may get a non-foul. Look, you still have to carry yourself a certain way, and what we say is we want you at our schools, like, you want to glorify God in how you behave. And that doesn't mean you're always going to get the right calls. It doesn't mean you're always going to get the right breaks, but you got to carry yourself in a way that glorifies God. And as a parent, that's what you should expect your kids. Not to be perfect, but do their very best. And you own that as a parent. Look, that's not the coach's job. Yes, you want their help, but you have to own that as a parent. You take care of that, and you nip it in the bud when it happens.
Yeah, let's double down on that again. We had a sportsmanship episode, and if you haven't heard it, you should go back and listen. But the number one thing that comes out of that episode is sportsmanship should be owned by the parents. Coaches have a role, but parents, you have to teach sportsmanship to your kids. And if they're not showing it, you have to step in.
Yeah, I'm with you. And that just the coach got enough to worry about. And like I said, then they start worrying, well, if I go after is the parent going to get on me for going after their kid? You know,
Right,
I mean,
sure.
honestly, that's what
Sure.
people have to deal with. So I agree. Parents own that. So parents, I think another thing, have a realistic expectation of your kids' talent.
Yeah.
How good they are, where they are in the food chain. And at that moment, again, we keep saying, doesn't mean that's where they're going to end. They can continue to work their way, get better, and become one of the best players. But at the same time, if your kid's batting 8th, okay, don't tell your kid he should be batting 3rd or she should be batting 3rd.
Yeah.
If they're the 8th person on the bench in basketball, don't tell them they should be getting 25% of the shots, because then all you're doing is you're setting up your kids to fail. Their expectations all of a sudden go through the roof. Now, this doesn't mean don't push your kid.
Yeah.
Don't get them better, but also don't give them unrealistic expectations where they go out there and now they feel like a disappointment. Because to me, that's when kids don't want to play anymore, right? When they feel like, I haven't met my parents' standards, I'm not good.
Yeah.
Well, your parents have made you think that you should be this, and you're not.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's huge.
I think it goes back to you're talking about as a parent not having an agenda for your kid's journey. Like your kid's journey, you have no idea where they're going to end up, especially at 11 years old, especially at 10 years old. And to sit there and go, this is the track. For them to get a scholarship or for them to make their high school team, they've got to be on this track. You have no idea what that track. You have no idea where those tracks are going. You have no idea how good your kid's going to be. You have no idea if your kid's going to still love that sport. And so you've got to be in the moment at that game. And what is the goal for that game? And the goal for that game needs that they need to have a blast. They need to be a great teammate. They need to give 100% effort.
Yep.
They need to compete. But it's not, they got to go 4 for 4 because if they go 4 for 4, I know this travel team is going to want them.
Exactly.
Or if they, if they're batting 8th, like you said, I mean, I always told my kid, hey, if they got you 8th, just enjoy it. I'd rather be hitting 3 for 4, batting 8th than going 0 for 4 and the 3rd spot
man.
and everybody's mad at you. Because it's going to work itself out. When you get to a certain point where the games matter, they're going to put the guy with the best average in the 3 and 4 spot.
I'm with you on that. Funny story. So, I coach daughter's softball team. You have 3 pool play games. We played this team that was new to the tournament. There's 4 levels, and we're kind of in that 2.5, 3 level. And this team, their first 2 pool play games, got beat 15-0 and 22-2. So we go to meet for the 3rd game. We're about to play this team. The coach is like, "Whew, what a rough day for our girls." You got any advice? And he even called me Frenchie, even though I never met the guy. He's like, "You got advice, Frenchie?" And I was like, "Yeah, playing a different tournament."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Your girls are probably not having fun, yet there's other levels where they can compete and do that, and that's great. But don't do unrealistic expectations for these kids, because then they're not going to want to play. They're going to want to quit.
Yeah.
No kid can have fun just getting pounded day after day after day. And so that goes back to Mark DeRosa's, where I always love, there's a team, there's a league for every girl or boy out there. Just find it.
Yeah. And look, if you don't know the sport well enough to know if your kid is good or if they have, realistic aspirations of being something, then find somebody who'll be honest with you and ask them.